Everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Probation Officer's Perspective. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell to all so you've been notified of all the new content that I'm pushing out. And with that, I want to thank each and every one of you for all your support. I'm highly grateful. So, as you've seen in the thumbnail, the Shady Bunch, like the Brady Bunch. If you're familiar with the Brady Bunch, this is the Shady Bunch on the YouTube yard. Level 4 killers, all of them. Supposedly. There's some that are, some that aren't, and one that worked there in the level 4. So, let's dive into it. I want to talk about it a little bit. Get myself in here centered up, right? That's good enough. All right. So I'm going to introduce each one left to right. We're going to start at the top, work our way down. So up in the corner, left corner, we have Gunner from Gunner's Collective or Collective TV. Here in the middle, we got Dubs. And yes, that's Dubs with a turban. There's a story behind that. There's a liquor store that I used to go to almost every day. And the guy that owned the place, or he was always there, I think he was the owner. He looked exactly like Dubs. Not what Dubs used to look like, but with the beard, and Dubs shaves his head. I said, man, if you put a turban on Dubs, he'd look exactly like the dude at the liquor store. And sure as shit, I put that turban on there, and man, he looks identical to that dude. So I thought it was pretty funny. So I did it. It is what it is. I think it's funny. It's my channel, so oh well. Up here in the right-hand corner, we got Renegade Media. Over to the left, we got the King of Douchebags. That's Wes Watson. Over to my right, that is High Power Fitness. And then down at the bottom left, we got Rascal from Homie Hangout. In the middle here, bottom, that's Damen Porter from The Inside Story with Damen Porter. And last but not least, the OG lieutenant of all lieutenants in the CDCR, sipping coffee or drinking coffee out of a straw. Never seen that before, but hey, to each their own. Lieutenant Hector Bravo. All right. Everybody pretty much probably knows who they are if they're not. So every one of these guys here have all claimed to be on a level 4 yard, level 4 180, and affiliated with an organization while they were in prison, and they're all free. I don't know probably everybody's story, but most of them. So we're going to start up here in the left-hand corner with Gunner's Collective TV. Now, Gunner started out so I have my personal YouTube channel. I've had that since 2007 or 8. I've had it for a very long time. And so I've watched some of these guys when they first started out. I think Gunner, I started watching him a couple years ago. Maybe something like that. I don't even remember. And then I just started seeing all this beef going on and all this other stuff going on and back and forth. But so he put fake paperwork out on somebody. Then people were putting paperwork out on him. He said, I've never been on a 50-50 yard or any of that stuff. And he's not a dropout. Then he finally, after so much people putting so much shit out on him and paperwork and this, that, and the other, he kind of took the terms, he took terms to it. He took accountability for it, that, hey, I am a dropout. And then he turned it into like a thing with him. He's okay with it, and he makes it, comedic. He does a lot of comedy with his series that he has, the Super Paisa, Super Wood, Super Norteño, whatever. He is funny. I'll give him that. He is funny, and I do watch that. I think it's that stuff that he does is funny. Now, what has changed is he lied. Then he would get caught up in all his lies and going back and forth and behind the scenes shit, and then he kind of humbled himself for a minute, and then he got with Dubs. And then once he got with Dubs, the more and more he's been with Dubs, the more and more he has an attitude. His ego has gotten big. It's not the same. But again, he is funny. But he's one of those people, that you say to your friends, like, man, I only believe half of what he says. Before he would tell his stories, whether it's prison stories, his gang life, growing up, whatever it is. But he's proved to be untruthful, unreliable, whatever you want to call it, when it comes to being honest about things. He will try his best, and and Dubs will jump in on people that say anything about him. And even Homie Hangout is always protecting these two. For whatever reason, we're gonna get to him, but they have something on him. I don't get it. I haven't crossed those dots yet, because we're gonna cross dots. It's like when you're a kid, you have that dot to dot, and you when you're done, it's a animal or a car or whatever that you just drew by doing the dot to dot. So that's it. I'm going to stay out of his personal business, because he does have personal business and paperwork that was put out. And of all people, I mean, if you can't stand on your own 2 feet, you got to have somebody. And Dubs had to jump in when Dubs has no say. So he lives in Oregon. He lives in California. Dubs said anyone that, moves out of their state, can't be in their hood, whatever's no good. That's his best friend. But anyway, excuse me, he doesn't know the whole ins and outs. He doesn't know everything. He only knows what Dubs tells him. He's only getting one side. And so he's sticking up for him every way, no matter what people say about him. But it is what it is. And again, I'm not saying anything negative as far as his content. Now, their content has gotten way down. They're doing content on stuff. So Dubs and Gunner both go live together. Dubs and Gunner both drop videos. One drops a video, the other one will drop a video, except for Gunner Super Series. That's the only thing that he's got that Dubs doesn't have. So being honest about your story from the very beginning. When you start your channel, if you're going to tell your life story, tell it. Be honest, truthful about your whole life. To the very ending part where you got free, you released, and what it was like. Look, what's my channel? It's Probation Officer's Perspective. I've held a lot of different hats and a lot of other job titles, but I was a felony PO at one time. So I like to hear that, what their experience was, with that, but they don't do that, not very much, not very often do I ever hear any stories about that, my PO, and this is what happened when I got out. I've heard them talk about getting violated and getting sit back for a minute and then, getting back out, and I think it was a fight at the parole office, but I've never heard them really talk about their experience, like when they got out, that whole process. Same with Dubs. So let's go to Dubs. So do I have anything bad to say about Gunner? All what I could say is, like I said, he puts out good content, his funny content. Now the other content, I mean, it is just what it is. Everybody's throwing out the same stuff, and it's nothing new. But when he does his little super series, it is different. compared to anybody else because no one else has that. Dubs, will not, still to this day, has never said he went to an SNY yard. I used to watch Dubs when he first started. I want to say it was 5 or 6 years ago. I'm not exactly, on my personal channel. And when he first came out, he was very humble, very quiet, very, just happy to be free, and seemed remorseful and things about his past, of things that he's done. But he would not ever talk about the fact that he dropped out. Like Gunner's a dropout. He's debriefed. Gunner's a snitch. When you debrief, you're snitching on your organization. For whatever reason it is, if you're debriefing, you're snitching. So everyone that has done that is technically snitched. For whatever reason, I'm not the judge here. I'm not here to judge anybody about why they, got out or why they debriefed. I'm not here to judge that. All I'm saying is he's from Merced, California. He lives in Oregon. Yes, he lives in Oregon. He wants you to believe he lives in Washington because he doesn't want no one to know where he's at. But he lives in Oregon. But Dubs, he's the same way. He will not admit that he dropped out. He debriefed. He went SNY. There's another story about Gunner, too, about him snitching in YA. But we'll get to that. Dubs' story, like, if he just kept on, like, by himself and kept what he was doing because he was building and building and building, and then he kind of got, I think, at a plateau where he was going uphill and then he just plateaued out. And that's when he hooked up with Gunner, and then they started doing everything together because Gunner had more people on it, more subs, and then they started doing stuff together, which built up Dubs' subs. But both of them, all they care about is money. That's it. All they care about, Gunner, whatever. I'm not even going to get into who's who, how they spend their money. That's their business. He did show on the live how much money he made on his phone one time, and it was a lot of money. And people give to them, but they don't give back to nobody. And we're going to get to that here in a minute. So Dubs, listen, in my job, in my career, I used to have to do PSIs. And everybody here on this panel knows what a PSI is. Most people watching probably know what a PSI is. And I had the tools to do it that civilians, didn't have. And I was able to do a PSI. And I knew everything. What if they ever went to prison, every charge they've been arrested for, any type of disciplinary action, disciplinary reports, while they were locked up, just anything and everything. I can get that information because I have to do that for the PSI, which is a pre-sentence investigation. It's a report, and that goes to the judge. The judge would read that without having to get all the, you know what I'm saying? You put everything in, and then you put it in a report so he could just look through it and read it when somebody's charged with something. So anyways, that's that. So I did my own research, which everyone, I highly encourage everybody here to, I'm against people blasting paperwork because you never know when it's fake or it's real. To do your own research. So if you're going to put paperwork out there, which again, we're not on the prison politics. We're not on the prison yard. This is YouTube yard. This isn't prison politics. So race and all that other stuff's out the window. Politicking's out the window. Paperwork, you ain't got to show nobody your paperwork because that's in prison, not here. And people can doctor shit up on computers or AI or whatever the heck they can do. They can do it. And so people are putting fake paperwork, and some people are putting real paperwork. The bottom line is to find out for yourself. Anyone and everyone can find this information out yourself if you just do a little research. And that research is just, you got to find out information. Name, first of all, what state, county. You can get all this. Some states, some cities, everybody's different. Some of them have everything online. Some of them have hardly anything online. Some of them want you to pay for it online. Other ones, you got to go into the courthouse and actually request it. Others, you can just pay for, put in a date range, their name, and get it. I mean, it goes on and on. I'm not going to sit here and waste all the time on that. Anyways, I did not go by any paperwork that anybody put out on YouTube. I did my own research because I saw everybody throwing all this paperwork out. And I seen Rascal sitting there trying to defend and saying, oh, this bogus paperwork, blah, 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 for whatever reason. And I did it myself. And then I found out for myself. And yes, you did. You were on an SOY yard. You did debrief. You did drop out. That's it. It's over. Swallow your pride. Get back to that personality you had before. And I think you go a long ways, a lot further. Because this shit here is getting old and people are starting to get tired of it. I'm just saying. I'm not saying anything like it's going to happen. But, I mean, you can see you're plateauing again. And you guys are running out of content. Both of them like to go in on everyone. Dubs loves to go in on Wes Watson. He even has a specific day he does it. He likes to go in on other people, but if anybody goes in on them, him or Gunner goes in on people too. Holy shit, man. You thought it's like elementary school on the playground. And they have a tantrum because you went in on them. But anyways, that's the deal with Dubs. Next, we got Renegade Media. He's probably the only one that went SNY, who dropped out, who tells it the way the whole way. He tells about his childhood. He tells about how he got into the gang, how he got into prison, what it was like in prison, what he did in prison, what organization he was hooked up with, why he left that organization. He went SNY, and then he clicked up while he was in SNY, and then how that didn't pan out. And just, he tells it everything. And all the way to the end. Okay? So he tells it all. The only problem that he has, one of the biggest problems he has, and I know Dubs, Gunner, even this High Power Fitness, and everybody likes to jump on Renegade Media's bumper for the views. Because if you put Renegade Media in your thumbnail and your title, you're going to get a bunch of views because he has a huge platform. But they're always trying to tell him how to do it. It's his channel. Just like your channel's your channel, your channel's your... Everybody's a content creator. They have their own channel, and they can do and say whatever they want to do. I'm not saying you can't do that. You can do whatever you want. And that's his bag, and he knows the ramifications. And if he chooses to do that, then that's on him. That is on him. But that's my only issue is he talks on the Mexican Mafia, and he talks on the NF. And he does it. He even gives up names sometimes, a lot of times. He talks about certain individuals. And eventually that's going to come back on him. I mean, other than that, he does good. He has a huge platform. He works a full-time job. He takes care of his kids, his family, by working his full-time job and working YouTube full-time. Now let's get over to Wes Watson. Wes Watson. What can I say about him? There ain't much to say other than he's an arrogant ass. Now, he was he said, no, so back in the day, when he first started out, his content, he was more humble, just like Dubs was. And now you see where he's at. He's in Miami, Florida, and driving a Bugatti, a Phantom, a big, huge, empty house that when he talks, it echoes in there because there's no one there. Just he's by himself. He's alone. And that's his biggest problem, I think. He's alone because he thinks he's something special that nobody could ever be on his level. You know, he's got to be in that flow state. But nobody's on his level. But the roids have gotten to his noggin here. Got to his brains, man. Because he feels like nobody is at his level, will ever be at his level, and he cannot do a video without screaming at the top of his lungs. He just can't do it. So other than that, there's not much else to say. I mean, everybody knows who he is. Oh, so we're going to talk. Oh, I forgot. We got to talk about his history. So he said he did 10 years in the CDCR and that he was a shot caller. He lies about he lied about his prison time. His level, he was a level 4 180. So he says, shot caller. Come to find out, he was, he lived was born and raised in San Diego, and got charged, got sentenced. The only thing he did was hit reception in California, and at that time, California was shipping inmates to other states. They had contracts with other states. And so the only thing he did was touch down at reception, and after reception, he got shipped to Arizona. He did time in Arizona. Then he did time in Oklahoma. And then I think he went back to Arizona, and then he got out in California. So he did not spend any length of time, and he didn't do 10 years like he said. He did way less than 10 years. But he wasn't a shot caller. He was on a level 2, I believe, a level 2. He said he was level 4. Now, to me, prison's prison. I don't give a shit if you're level 1, 2, 3, or 4. But if you're going to say you're on a level 4, then be on a level 4. He says he was on a level 4 running the hole for the woods. He was a shot caller when he wasn't. And he was a level 2. Maybe he was level 3. I don't think so. I don't have the paperwork here in front of me. I've seen it. It was a level 2. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on it. Again, this is just all these things are my perspective that I've seen. If you watch all these guys, you'll see the connections and the dots. You'll start putting dots together. Okay, over here on my right, Mr. OG. High Power Fitness. Now, High Power Fitness, I don't know where he came from. I guess he came from TikTok. But he just popped on the scene all of a sudden on YouTube. And it was because Dubs and Gunner co-signed for him. Well, I think it was Dubs first, and then they both, since they do everything together, they're like, oh yeah, go check out, they call him PD Boy, I think it is, on High Power Fitness. If you're looking to get fit, if you're looking, to change your health, the way you eat, your diet, whatever, go check him out. So I go check him out. Guess what? He's not talking about that. I go to his shit. Every one of his videos he shows, it's got Dubs on it. Dubs. I pulled up on Dubs. I got something to say about Dubs. I got something to say about Gunner. I got Dubs and Gunner. I pulled up on them. I had to pull up on two homies. He put Renegade Media in there. He wrote his bumper. Wes Watson, I believe he did. Maybe not. I can't remember all the things. But all his shit's clickbait. Because he'll do a 20-minute video, or however long it is. The first 5 minutes of it, he'll talk about eating this, drinking this, or staying in a routine. And after that 5 minutes, the rest of his video is about Dubs, Gunner, Dubs, Gunner, Dubs. And then he went on Renegade Media and I think Wes Watson. But that's all it is. Or some homies pulled up on me till they found out who I was and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's all clickbait. But he rides Dubs' bumper so hard that if Dubs were to stop real quick, his head would go right up his ass. For real. I mean, he just rides him hard. Now, Let's talk about Rascal down here in the corner. Rascal's a good dude. I thought he was 100% solid. He knows everybody, does everything. The problem with him is he is willing to jeopardize his integrity to cover up for Dubs and Gunner. Why he does that is beyond me. He thinks, I call him the YouTube lawyer, because anybody has a beef, somebody's throwing paperwork on somebody, they all go to Josh, and then Josh will handle it. Now, that's my only issue. And that sometimes he feels like it looks like he can't speak for himself or pick his own sides, because he'll go on one channel, or maybe it's his own live. If he sees the live going in one direction, no matter what his opinion is or what he's talking about, someone disagrees with him, but then he starts to talk about that, but then 20 other people agree with that subscriber that's talking, then he's going to start talking his way out of his side over to their side and agree. I've seen him do that a lot. But yeah, he's just, like, again, he is or was a paralegal. Anybody can be a paralegal. You do not have to go to school or be certified for it, unless you're trying to work for a law firm or something of that nature. Then they're going to want you to have that certificate and that schooling as a paralegal. But anyone can do it. You do not have to be certified to be a paralegal. Just so you know, people, do your own research. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. If you have a computer, if you have a phone, get on there, search it. You can do anything you want to do. You can find out a lot of stuff by yourself without relying on secondhand information. Because the only thing I have against Rascal, besides the fact that he's covering for these two for some reason, I don't know why, but he will talk in the lawyer lingo and court lingo, I call it, court terminology, words, and things that people don't understand. And he won't, if he doesn't break those words down, then people don't know, and they just go by what he says. And that's it. So that's my only issue I have. Other than that, I thought he was a 100% solid dude, but then I see he goes around, and then he has stabbed some people in the back that trusted him, that were friends with him. And so that's no bueno, All right, let's go right here down to Inside Story with Damen Porter. Him and Dubs were friends since YA. Not friends as in, I'm sure they don't hang out and stuff like that. But they talked. I think Dubs helped him get his YouTube channel started. He helped him out. Dubs did. And then Damen and him talked about one time they got into a fight in YA. Dubs brought it up on his channel. And then recently, now this is not just the first time either. When you're talking on prison politics and you're telling a prison story, because most of his stories are about the LA County Jail and some prison stories. But he throws out racial comments. Now, if you're talking about prison and a story in prison, that's totally understandable, because each race is segregated, and I understand that. But when you're just talking to talk, like he said, Mexicans are afraid of blacks. That stirred up a bunch of shit. Him and Dubs got into it over in videos. He said, Damen said that Dubs sucker punched him. Dubs said, no, that's not the way it went down. I whooped his ass, or whatever it was he said. I don't remember. And then he was talking about whites, and there was 400 guys in the unit that he was in at the LA County Jail, or 300 guys, 300 blacks. and there was only 2 white guys. And the reason there's only 2 white guys in the LA County jail is because they don't arrest white people for their crimes, which is bullshit, Damien. You know it, and I know it. So the racist comments that he makes, I've clipped it. I know. I have it. You don't believe me, then I'll, whatever. I have it. But you make comments like that, and I understand, like I said, if you're telling a story like all the whites and the Northerners got into it, or the whites and the blacks got into it, you know what I mean? That's understandable in the prison. But when you're talking like the way you talk about the Mexicans are afraid of blacks, the whites don't get arrested, now you're kind of being racist there. You're stepping over that boundary. And you know what I mean? It is what it is. It's your channel. Again, everyone's channel. It's their right to do whatever they want. All right, let's go on next. Down to the OG lieutenant. Like, if it wasn't for him, the CDCR would not have existed in his own mind. So, Lieutenant Hector Bravo. I cannot say anything bad about him in his military service. I appreciate your service, fighting for our country and being there in the military. I can't, thank you for that. But now on to his channel about being the prison guard. He talks and talks and talks. Well, for one, he left the CDCR. He said 2 years prior to him leaving, he knew something, or that he didn't like the changes, and he was good, and he saw it coming, and he wanted out. Well, it took him 2 years. Then he said he resigned, but he had no job, no nothing. Okay, lined up. He has a family, a home, all that stuff, but he had nothing lined up and just resigned. But then other times he said he quit. Yeah, I've clipped it. I know. You said you quit. You said you resigned. Now, you've never said you were pushed out, which I've heard from other people that he was pushed out. And pushed out just means, and that happens with any job, but a lot in law enforcement. And he talks about how he's been written up several times, in his previous videos and in lives and things like that. Now, the thing about being pushed out means that, like, they tell you, like, look, we're going to have to let you go, but we're going to give you the opportunity to resign, or we're going to have to fire you. Well, of course, you want to resign so you could save face and you can get a job somewhere else, keep your certificate, your benefits, all that good stuff, and your time that you have in with the state, and go get another job working for government or the state, and keep that time by that 16 years you already have in for retirement purposes. But Hector, is another one about being talking shit about races. So he is a whistleblower, okay? That's what his big thing was. He's been on all these interviews and podcasts, and he talks about Jeff McCumber constantly. I mean, I think he gets a hard on every time he says his name, because that's all he talks about. He can't get that guy out of his head. And it's not just him. There's a bunch of names, and they're all people that were at his level, say as a lieutenant or when he was a sergeant or below him, and they surpassed him, captain, associate warden, whatever it is, or in administration. They moved on to Sacramento. It doesn't matter. He's butthurt hard about it, and he can't let it go, and he doesn't know how to let it go, because he continually talks about the same people all the time. Let it go, Hector. You left, quit, resigned, whatever you did. And the CDCR still functioning. Yeah, it's not the best place to be, but it's never a good place to be. Here's the other thing. So anyways, what I was saying was that, so I got sent a clip, or actually 2 clips, of Hector reporting a channel because one was, okay, he got caught with he said all paisas are chomos on his live. Somebody clipped it. Somebody did a video on it, and then other people saw it. So he had to pull Dubs on his live, his next live. He did an emergency live, so Dubs could co-sign for him and understand. He didn't mean it in a derogatory way or whatever. You know what I mean? And then the other one was about the blacks. Shout out to Chemo Flicks. He puts a lot of this craziness that goes on these channels, and he makes little parodies of them, and it's funny. Go check him out if you haven't. He puts out some funny stuff. Now, I saw again his name, his information, everything that got reported a channel. Now, not once, but I've been personally emailed twice regarding it by one of my subscribers. Now, you know what? I don't know what that's all about. You know what I mean? Like, if you said it came out of your mouth, why are you trying to damage control? It's done, dude. You already said it. It came out of your mouth. You laugh it off afterwards because you're like, oh shit, I just said what I said. I got to laugh here and try to make it funny. Otherwise, I'm going to get crucified here. But it is what it is. Here's another thing. I cannot speak on the departments that I worked for. Worked, meaning I don't work there anymore. If I don't work there anymore, I cannot speak on them because I honestly don't know the real truth. Any information that I get, just like Hector, like, okay, if the CDCR posts it or the state posts it, that's public information. Anyone can access that and get that information. Things that he has done or talks about now, the only way he's getting it is from other inmates in the prisons and his ex coworkers that still work there that he worked with, which he's burned a lot of bridges. I've already been told that with a lot of his coworkers. And not too many people's very happy with him because they consider him a rat. And all these people follow him, believing. But, again, I'm not trying to put him down. But if you're going to say something, back your play. If you're going to say something about a race, then go with it. Because obviously that's what came out of your mouth. And it is what it is. Now let's play Connect the Dots. And let me get this clear right now. I'm not telling you not to subscribe or watch any of these channels. Anyone can do whatever they want. It's your right to watch whatever you want. It's YouTube. Watch whoever you want. If you like them, whatever. Like I said, the paperwork thing, I don't think that should be put on blast on Facebook unless there's one exception, and that is if you got some weird charges. Now, if you got some weird charges, you're a chomo, you're an SO, a sex offender, anything like that, then yes, you definitely should be put on blast. So that way people don't go to your channel, because there's been some content creators here recently that have been grooming children and talking to minors and things like that, and that's not cool. None of these guys here. I'm not talking about anybody here on this panel here. I'm talking about there's other people. So yeah, at that point, then paperwork should be put out. So Renegade Media and Josh, they're buddies, and they chat before he gets a lot of his information from Renegade Media, from Josh. Him and Josh talk a lot. That's out of Renegade's own mouth. And he doesn't talk about anybody or do reaction videos on anybody. Now, Renegade Media is also friends with Hector Bravo. They're buddies. Okay? Josh is friends with Hector Bravo, which is, again, passing all this information around. Well, who's going to do this story? Well, I'll do it because I don't care, whatever. Now, Josh is friends with Gunner, Dubs, Renegade Media, Hector Bravo. I don't know about Damen Porter or this new cat over here, High Power Fitness. I'm not sure about that. But those ones I just showed you, yes, Damen Porter is not really in the mix of any of these guys except for Dubs. So you see where I'm talking about? Gunner. Now, Gunner and Dubs and Renegade Media, they don't, get around. They don't get... Renegade Media just doesn't have time to play games. So he just ignores Gunner and Dubs. But, like I said, if you connect the dots, you'll see what I'm talking about. And again, I'm not telling you don't watch their channel, don't do this, don't do that. I'm not telling you that whatsoever. Go watch who you want. Doesn't matter. Go sub to who you want to sub to. If you like them, you like their content, then watch them. Because, I watch their content. A lot of these guys, because like I said, they're funny. Some of them are funny, some of them aren't. Some of them have good stories, some of them don't. You know what I mean? I'm just pointing out the shady shit that each and every one of these people on the panel have done. And playing connect the dots. You can connect all these dots because all this shit goes behind the scenes that you don't know about. And Renegade Media and Josh and Hector Bravo. And that kind of makes sense now, the way he sides on stuff. But Josh and Dubs, Josh and Gunner, you know what I'm saying? Dubs, Hector Bravo. There's just so many connections, man. Nobody with Wes Watson, though. Damen Porter's kind of out in the loop, too. As far as, which is a good thing. He doesn't get looped in with or try to go in with any of that bullshit. Because what happens when you are all behind the scenes now, Josh is talking to Renegade Media, who doesn't care or have the time for Dubs and Gunner's bullshit. But then Josh is buddies with Dubs and Gunner, so he's going to go tell Dubs and Gunner or Hector Bravo or whoever. You see what I'm getting at? It's just it's a nasty thing, and Josh needs to just set his mind on one way he's going to be, and that's it across the board. Everybody needs to tell their story, be honest, truthful. The paperwork will not come out because there's nothing to come out. You told your story, you told it from the beginning. I want to hear about your stories when you got what's the process? People want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. What's the process of when you got released? How did you know? How long did it take? Did they just tell you to roll it up and they opened up the front doors and let you out the gates? No, it doesn't work that way. If you went SMY, like I said, again, the only one that's told his whole story from beginning to end is Renegade Media. Everyone else doesn't talk about it. I don't know. Anyways, that's what I wanted to do. Get that out of the way. You just got to watch it, man. Don't believe everything you see and hear. It's for entertainment purposes, the majority of it. Some of it's true. Some of it's not true. It's a 50-50 deal when you're watching it. You can't believe everything. But another thing, money-wise, I'm not making no money off this. And if I do start making money off of this, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get back to my community. I'm going to get back to the less fortunate. People in my community that are struggling, families that are struggling to put food on the table, a roof over their head, pay their bills, whatever it is. That's what I'm going to do. And when I do that, I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to go live and I'm going to go show you what I do with my money, if I ever make money. Now, Dubs, Gunner, they blow their money on, especially Gunner, man. On everything, and then they sit there and act like they don't have any money, which he showed on his phone on one of his lives. Of course, they delete all their lives, so you can't pull it back up. But he did show on his phone, and it has a lot of money. Because neither of them work. That's their money. That's how they get down. But all these people are donating to him. Dude, what are you donating to? What have they done for their community or anyone else's community? Do they go give to the youth? Do they go talk to the youth? Do they go out and, help people in their community? No, they don't. They don't even leave their houses. You know what I mean? They don't go out and give to their community. I go and I speak at the juvenile center here. I go speak to different agencies on my experience and things that I've went through in my past. Okay? I've done that several times. I do it all the time. All my shit's free. That's another thing. A lot of these people on the panel don't have their information out there, so you can't contact them. With me, since day one, and my channel is only 6 months old. Since day one, if you go to my channel description, it's got my email address and my phone number. Email and phone number right there. You can shoot me an email. A lot of people have. Some are content creators. Other ones were subscribers. People that needed advice, help, just to chit chat. They needed someone to talk to. They were in a situation or trying to stay clean or sober, whatever it is. That's why I leave my information there. Now, I'm going to watch to see, like I told you, with the talent on each other, on the channels, on other channels. Well, they'll go in on everybody, but when somebody goes in on them, they're going to snitch. I'm going to be the first one that I'm going to blast it out there. So the first one that tells or doesn't like my video here and tries to report me, which I'm not doing anything wrong, it's my channel. I can speak on, do a reaction to anybody I want to do. But if they do, I have another channel. I'm just going to blast it out there. Exactly who it was. And that's that. Because I have an email address. I have a phone number. If you have an issue with this video or something I ever said to you or whatever, you can always reach out to me that way. And we can settle it like men and not like on the playground, like little kids. Okay? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I've been jabbering for way too long, but I had to get it all out there. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. If you're new to the channel, like I said, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell to all so you'll be notified of all the new content that I'm pushing. With that, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.